We just got the CPI numbers and that's positive. The way the media shows you that is game changer, right? The market is slowly grinding up. At least for the time being, it's looking good. But I would argue that let's wait for a little bit longer. Because right now we are waiting for the Fed to come out and see whether they're going to hammer the market or not. And for them to hammer the market, one thing is the dollar is still inside this pattern. If this breaks to the downside, that's great. And you don't actually see too much momentum happening here in the S&P 500 or any of these stocks for that matter. Tesla is down like 4%, right? So right now you'll have to actually put in that narrative. Everyone is waiting for the Fed to do something. And if it's smaller than 75, that's going to be great because we know this is happening. The high was back here in June. Then we started dropping. We started dropping continuously. And right now, understand, June, after that, July, August, September, October, November. It's been 5 months since the inflation is going down. So if someone is coming out and saying you giving that higher probability that the inflation is not peaking or it did not peak yet, that's going to be really hard to digest. What you should look at right now is what's happening here because that actually gives you some perspective of what's going on. And then Stuart actually give you even more clarity of what's happening. This is really bad. Now, if you are in FTX, that's really bad situation. Now, this is earlier today when we are analyzing the market and looking at the market and I'm like, okay, you do have this possibility for XRP. If you're breaking this level, yes, a short-term resistance is being broken, but at the same time, you do see price breaking this level and a macro level. So keep an eye on that one. Then I thought this is actually interesting because if you look at this, the thought process here is about a payment system. Now, yes, it's a Doge guy asking that, and he's saying it's going to be great, but he is an entrepreneur. Elon is a great leader and an entrepreneur. He knows how things work, right? So most likely to use an ISO-based system, he may actually go in for XRP Ledger. Now, yeah, he can use any asset in and out, but the native asset is what makes us great. Meaning XRP as an asset, if you have chosen that at a time when all of them are putting you out there in a pond of fear and FUD, this is actually a great starting. Now, look at this. They actually highlight the point that we are going to take action. And I'm like, what were you doing till now? It's been like 10 years. The blockchain is out there. They did not take much of an action. And right now they say, okay, we are waking up. And at the same time, you see this from the Congress. Congress to take lead for clear rules. They are saying, okay, institutions are leaving the country. They are operating offshores, which is right now so bad because it's hurting the investors in that country. Now, this actually goes back to what we discussed here along with the inflation. This is also interesting because if the Fed is again doing something like this, then interest payments are going up, which may not be good, right? So now we'll actually go back and break down these price action charts because XRP just broke this to the upside. We talked about this possibility yesterday. Right now we observe that it did break to the upside. So what's next? That's what we are going to discuss here today because these key levels are being hit. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys learn how to become the next top 10%. So if you are here, you're watching that the market is breaking this pattern to the upside, that is a positive story. Why is that? You can actually clearly take this pattern out and then go on the argument like, yes, we also have a pattern which is forming like this, which had a probability of it's going to break to the downside. We did break to the downside, but we did not go much lower. It shows the strength of buyers. Now, that's why right now we are looking like, okay, what is happening, right? Clearly, you see this as one bottom and then the price making this one. So you got a double bottom pattern with a bullish divergence, which is great. Then you happen to go up here, made a new top, then created a new high, which is a higher high. Fine. From there, you bounced, making another high and putting in another higher low. Right now, you're breaking through this level. So, technically speaking, you are right now getting something bullish. You just put that like this, move into a daily, and this is what you are looking at. You see the movement like this. Now, yes, it does feel a little bit confusing with all of these data, but if you try to move this out and look at the data like this, you are right now observing something slowly trying to move back up. But yes, we do have a ton of divergence to go through. Otherwise, it's not going to go through all-time highs. So that's ether. As it moves higher, keep an eye on this range, $1,500. That's going to be important because after that, what you have next is going to be this range. If you put that here, you'll get one here. And if you're trying to connect through these resistance, you'll argue that it's going to be somewhere close to this. Now, it does also make sense because it will be here on the pattern side of it. But if you're going through the horizontal support zone for that, you can actually take in the idea that yes, the previous support is going to be a resistance. So all of these levels are going to be important. So before you go completely bullish, these has to be taken. The buyers need to push the price to this level, and I think sellers are going to slowly give up and go bullish. That for Bitcoin is going to be close to 28,000-30,000. But before that, the market actually have some key levels to break through. Right now, on a daily, this is your 50-day moving average, which you are resisting. Now you need to break through that. But when you go on a 3-day chart, that's your 21-day moving average. Your 50 is here with the resistance of the pattern. So you are still inside this pattern. Remember how the dollar is still inside this pattern where it is heading to the downside, right? It did not break to the downside. It's still inside that pattern. Similarly, you're observing Bitcoin here. So if Fed is doing something which is so bad, like 100 basis point, which at this point does not make any sense, and even people may hammer them, right? So most likely they're going to do 50. The market has already priced in that. But what is going to be even more important here at this stage is the idea of what they're going to do next. If they say, okay, the inflation is still too high, which it is, we are going to do another 50 most likely, keep the same pace. We'll have to see how that goes in, because the market may be thinking like, okay, inflation is dropping harder, oil price is going down, so this should come into the price, and then again the next CPI should be even lower. All of them looks great. Why would they do another 50, right? But again, they are now trying to push this to another level where you have that economic situation where people are kind of dead economically, right? So they're actually trying to push it to that level. So in that term, if they do give that narrative, dollar becomes stronger, it go back up. If not, you'll see dollar breaking to the downside. That's what we want, because if you remember, you look at the macro for dollar and you get an idea that, okay, your support, the macro support, is much lower than where the price is right now, because this happens to be your trend. You are at the midway. You have a long way to go. So as you come to the downside, you will see the asset prices increase. And that's what we are waiting here. You bouncing back to the upside. Now, what does that actually mean for XRP, right? We are breaking to the upside. We have another resistance here, which is going to be this level. Fine. Now, if we manage to take this level out, now that is even more bullish. Yes, it does show you short-term resistance. You will have to take those resistance out for sure. But keep in mind, at this time, you do have this one. So as you break through this level, you do have to keep in mind, yeah, we have resistance here, but on the trend line basis, if you are breaking through this level, that means now your measured move is much higher. Your price action is like another 200% to the upside from 0.47, say 0.5. You are looking for like $1.4. Right? As you break through that and put that number here, 1.36. Great. So in the meantime, as you go up, this will now act as the start of the next wave. Now, why would I say that? Because at this moment, even a lot of people would actually give you that you are in a bear market and this has been a long bear market. Great. Instead of an ABC correction, because if you are putting another high, remember this market actually shows you did this, you went up, you did this. Great. That's an ABC correction. It's not the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the downside. Because in a bear market, you don't get ABC to the downside. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the downside. Then a consolidation and again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was what was happening in the market. So if you are moving to the upside, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside. That's your trend, your direction. Here, that's not. So right now, there will be a lot of confusion in the market until and unless you break through this level. And once you do, now that's a lost opportunity. Because remember, we talked about this scenario on a weekly chart where we discussed a probability that this can become a continuation pattern. So that means you literally have an objective to see whether the price is going here, and it has way higher odds of doing that. Now, if you are here in the market and looking at this, RSI is something which kind of gives you an idea of what's coming up next. And RSI has already shown you I broke higher, I'm retesting and bouncing. So it's kind of giving you the narrative. It has the ability, the price has the ability to actually go higher and break through this level. Now, the question of can we do this retest before we bounce higher is going to be hard. Because at that point, when you are breaking, the key level is this. If you break through this range, your retest will only look like this because you are going to see this range, the previous level of support and resistance holding here, right? So then you are looking for the price to bounce from here. So you're not looking for a retest which actually come all the way back down to this level. This is going to be a bullish scenario if the Fed is not going nuts tomorrow. And most likely, the hiking cycle is over. You can literally go to the Google, type in the business cycle, economic cycle. You'll get the understanding. You'll type in the economic cycles, you'll type in the business cycles, and you can actually literally see how things evolve. Once they top out, they are going to come back down. So you will see expansion, you will see contraction. And the reason why they actually do this, inflate the money supply and then take the money supply out, it's like, the open market operations of the central bank. You can actually go in and look at what the open market operations of a central bank, say for Fed in this case, look at what they are doing here. This is how they operate. So don't get confused only because of the interest rate is going up. They also do buying the bonds and show you what is the narrative. When the interest rate is going up, they are not buying something and putting money. They are selling something and taking the money out of the market. So they do understand the narrative of decreasing the money supply. And at the time, when you actually see these happening, they may not be able to push the interest rates even higher. Now, they can do slowly 50, another 35, then 15, 20. That can literally come in. If the inflation spikes in between, they're going to do 35, 20, 25. Then again, when the inflation drops, they will do that. Now, in this market, the next question becomes like, okay, if this is going to happen with that macro situation, how long do you take? How long do you think this is going to take? And I'm like, that's the hardest part. Because if you get something going wrong on the supply chain issues, this may not last. Because one of the biggest thing which you need to understand right now in the market, the macro, you're going to look at the US oil. And if you remember, we discussed about this from a very long time, talking through that $90 to $100 level. And the top of the double top which we formed here, and we discussed about that. We broke to the downside, retested that, we are going back down. Right now we are already hitting that 69 level. Right now, if you wait to see next level of retest, which is going to be this level, and a rejection, Now that's going to be even better for the economy as a whole, because the gas price goes down, automatically your food price slows down. So this is going to get interesting. Now the trend was to the upside. Right now it's to the downside on this side of the economy, which is going to be giving more room in the pockets, right? So you have more money, and first you'll accumulate emergency fund, great. Then you start thinking about investments, and that's where a lot of money is slowly going to come into the market. So as we speak right now, we can see slowly, not that huge, but the volume is slowly increasing. So if we are breaking through these levels, keep in mind we are up for a good wave 2 in all coins and a wave 3 in Bitcoin. And I'm pretty happy that, I just made here and I can do this video today, because I was having an exam preparation for, the CFA charter and all those stuff. Went through that, came back, done. The video is over. Now, we'll be traveling from tomorrow, so I'll have to see like how I'll manage to do the videos on a regular basis. But if there is no video on a day, don't worry, I'll try follow up the next day itself. I'll be going on a vacation to India after like 5 long years. So I'll still try to take everything with me, do the videos on a regular basis, find time for the market, because the market is so important right now. And if Fed does something different tomorrow, don't worry, I'll try finding time and come update you guys as well. So if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. And if you have another 5 minutes, 10 minutes, come here, watch these videos and inform me if you felt that is good, motivating, inspiring for your future, your success. So that's it for today, guys. I'll meet you on the next video. Bye-bye.